Hello, my name is Lynn and I am here with Matt Cicco. We are going to be talking about holiday job search tips. We know it's that time of year. We've got a whole slew of them to share with you in just a few seconds. We'll talk to you. So welcome back to holiday job hunting tips. I know the holiday time is absolutely crazy. And Matt, who is a career coach, he works here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're colleagues. And he does some great work, and he's got a whole slew of tips that he wants to share with you. But I told him we only got maybe about 4 or 5 minutes. So we're going to see what we can do about condensing them down. But if you need some additional tips, I would tell you to head on over to his website. What's the website name?
It's Matthew Douglas Career Advisors.
Okay, and you'll be able to pick up a few more because I'm sure he'll have something up there for you.
Absolutely.
So the first tip we want to talk about is you've got this saying of you want to exhaust all options. Now that sounds like a daunting task, like all options. I mean, how many options are in all options? What do you mean by that, Matt?
Well, what I mean is you really want to really talk to everybody. It's not embarrassing anymore if you're out of work or you're looking for a job over the holidays. Talk to everybody. Everybody you know. Tell your aunts, your uncles, your grandmother. Tell everybody. Talk to the professional associations that you know of and jump on LinkedIn. Get the word out there. That's your best bet. That's what I mean by exhausting every option you can.
You know, it's interesting that you talked about exhausting all options because I was at a hairdresser probably, I don't know, it had to have been 4 or 5 years ago. And the person that was cutting my hair was telling, because she knew what I did, in terms of working with careers. And she said, guess what? I had a client who came in who was looking for a job. And then I had another client come in who was the CFO of a company, and he was looking for the exact type of, job that person was looking for. And I matched the two of those together. Is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely. So when I say everybody and exhaust all options, you're exactly right. That's the idea. The hairdresser, any mixers you go to, professional associations, on LinkedIn, groups you belong to, everywhere you go, everywhere you touch. And usually within the first few seconds when you meet somebody, usually it comes across, say, hi, I'm Matt Cicco.
Hi, I'm Lynn Desert.
Yeah. So what do you do, Lynn?
Well, I'm an executive career coach. What do you do?
I'm a career coach.
Oh my gosh, you know what? I might have a client for you.
That's exactly it. But, every time.
Right, because there are clients that I don't work with that Matt works with. And
every time.
It's even when you're in a small business, getting your name out is important.
Absolutely.
Now, one of the things that you did talk about, and I hear this a lot from people, is, okay, I hear you. I need to go out. I need to tell everybody, but you know what? I am too embarrassed and I am too ashamed to tell people that I'm looking for a job. What do you do with that?
Well, what you have to do is you have to sit down, and what I suggest is you sit down and talk with very close friends, close family, people who care about you, and get a lot of reinforcement, especially folks that you've worked with in the past that know you well, and talk to them and ask them some questions of, hey, what do you think, what were my best traits professionally? What were my best traits to your family and whatnot personally? And it builds you up a little, and it gives you a little more confidence. And if just to build yourself up that way. And the other thing is honestly, if you have a coach, that's the best thing you can do for yourself, and it's a good holiday gift to give yourself, because that's the way we help people do that, build confidence in themselves, and that'll help you as well, and you'll feel much better about going out there.
So what I hear you telling me is it's good to start with people that you know, people that you trust, and practice it with them, because once you start to practice it with them and you find out it's not quite as scary as you think it might be, then all of a sudden, you can start to test it maybe with people you know a little less, or even strangers, because let's face it, if a stranger doesn't have anything, who really cares? Sometimes we care more about the people that know us, right, and what they're going to think than the people that are strangers. So, well, thank you for that, Matt. So the next tip that we're going to be talking about is networking, and this falls into this whole, when you said get the word out there, but you have an interesting little term that you use with that. You say network and be smart about it, because sometimes you can spin your wheels networking, and so maybe you can share with us what you mean about that, being smart around networking.
Absolutely. Well, going out to, yes, I'm going to say Facebook and Instagram and all the other places, be smart. Don't drink too much at the parties. And if you do even have one or two, this is me now, my personal preference. I still, even in my own backyard on non-holiday times, don't want my picture out there, even with a cold beer in my hand, as much as I enjoy that. I don't want that out there. I don't want people looking at me in that light. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's my own house. But I wouldn't suggest putting those type of pictures out there. You don't want to give the wrong image off. Also, when you're attending these mixers and being smart, big time, bring business cards. If you don't have them, get them made. Vistaprint, any place like that, they're cheap, get them made. Because all you have to do is hand a business card to somebody nowadays. They can scan it in their phone. It's so easy. You don't have to walk around like the old days with a big brochure and resumes in your hand giving them out to people.
Right.
So it really helps when you're able to do those things.
That sounds good. So it sounds when we're at those parties and we're kind of having a really good time, it's not a good idea to plaster those all over, especially when you don't look so good. And here's the other thing is, if you are on Facebook, your friends are going to want to put them on their wall or whatever, and they're going to want to tag you, and then it shows up on your feed and everybody else. And the reason why we're telling you this is we're not suggesting don't have a good time, but there are employers at the time that you decide you want to work for somebody and they start to do a background check, they do go to Facebook and they check those to find out what kind of employee might you be. Are you a little too wild, a little too crazy? Do you partake in things that may be embarrassing to them? So either lock your Facebook down or just be very mindful of what does hit the Facebook feed.
Absolutely.
Okay? Does that sound like? The third tip that I think Matt would love to share with us is around flexibility. And what do you mean by that? I mean, what's flexibility mean?
Well, it's not this. So what it means is, for real, is obviously the more flexible you are to going to different locations as far as work goes, the better options, the more options you have and you create for yourself. So I'm not saying you have to have a job that's going to make you travel 24/7, but some people like that. Those of you who want to travel the country and go around and do things, that's perfect for you. Expand your options geographically. That's going to help really open a lot more doors than just because you don't have this, now you have this.
It's kind of funny that you're talking about that. I was working with a client the other day, and one of the things that we talked about, because she was in the middle of a job search, is that I said, it feels like you're creating all these boxes, you've got this requirement, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that, you don't want to do that. And pretty soon what happens is the pool of opportunities start to narrow down to be so slim that, it's tough to find a job in that slim pool. So the more that you can expand that, and that sometimes means getting out of our comfort zone, right? And maybe considering to do things that we normally would not consider doing, at least open it up, because at the point that a job offer comes in, then you can make the decision whether you want to accept or not. But if you don't even have something to accept, then, it's real difficult.
Absolutely. Right? It never hurts to talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime. You don't have to take it, but talk. Get out there.
So, get out there. Don't sit in your house.
No.
Now, the last tip that we're going to talk about, and this one has a whole bunch of things underneath it. And I know Matt's got like a list of things you want to talk about. Is you don't,
about being lazy, maybe?
Yeah, don't be lazy. Oh my goodness. You mean I can't just like kick back, enjoy the holidays, all my friends, my family's coming in. I can't do this kind of thing? I mean, why not? Nobody's looking for employees in December. Come on, give me a break.
Wow, that's a big misconception. I mean, there was a time where myself, when I led a big group here in Charlotte, myself and the co-leader both got jobs in December. And while it's not typical, people still hire, and they definitely interview in December. They may not pull the trigger, so to speak, till after the first of the year, but they definitely interview. And the thing is, what you really want to do is you really want to continue to get out there and talk to people about getting into a company and talking to them about going to work for them, because they're out there. They're going to talk with you.
Okay. So it sounds as if I really can't just sit around and waddle on the couch and watch my TV programs and get caught up and that type of thing. But it's kind of interesting if you think about it, if there's all those other people doing that and you've got the edge and you're out there trying to get the job, you're going to be that much more noticeable to the companies that are hiring or are preparing to pull that trigger in the first of the year. And why, one of the reasons I guess the first of the year is really important is that a lot of companies work on a fiscal year. And so what happens is that they run out of money budget-wise, and so they can't necessarily hire somebody in December.
Exactly.
But as soon as January hits, all those hiring managers, they want their person in place right away because they've got the budget and they got the funding for that position. So that's one of the reasons why interviewing is so critical in December, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the other thing, and there's things, as you said in the beginning, that you really want to do around not being lazy is make sure that the number one thing I can tell you, and this goes along with marketing, it goes along with your job search every day. This is no different, but it's making sure that you don't get lax over the holidays and just not do it. And that is tailoring your resume to each job every time, every single company, every time. You could have 2 jobs named the same in one company, the same company, and if you just said, pop, put it in there, they may not even call you because they think you don't have what the one job is focusing on versus the other job, but they were the same. I've seen it. They were looking for XYZ, not ABC, like the other one was. Okay. But everything else was the same. More likely, it's every single time that the company, any company, has a job description out there, I tell folks, I don't care if they write it in Arabic. You write it in Arabic. Use their language. Well,
that might be tough. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, but you want to use their language. So if I've seen people not get calls and get frustrated, and they have the experience coming out of their ears, and they don't get calls because they're not calling it what the company they're applying to is calling it.
Right.
They have all the experience they want, but they're not getting hit on the searches that they're doing when they go in the door for the keywords that we all know about, and definitely it doesn't make any sense to them because they don't see it. And if they're calling it something, guess what? They're going to look for that.
They are. They're absolutely going to look for that. So hopefully these 4 tips that we talked about today will help you get through the holiday. And I don't mean slide through the holiday. I mean actually actively work through the holiday so that you are ready to take that job on January 2nd. We'll talk to you later.
I thought it sounded good. It's my thing. Thank you.
It's gotta be uncomfortable. There.
Probably throwing it back on. I probably screwed it all up. Thank you.
That's a little
much better.
Okay.